I feel like distance learning doesn't always work for everybody.
Parents of special education students worry their children's needs cannot be met through distance learning.
An attempted killer on the loose here in San Diego. The life he nearly took over a cell phone.
And the local park being shut down because too many people were going there.
ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
Tonight, parents are raising concerns about special education and their child's right to be treated equally. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. The parents tell ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin unless they get the services they need, they're worried their child's education will take a big step back.
Right now, school is virtual. It started yesterday. It's been quite a challenge.
Sally Sacrison's 12-year-old son just started the 7th grade. That's an achievement, but the emotions Sally's feeling are not the typical excitement of going back to school.
It's just overwhelming because I feel like distance learning doesn't always work for everybody. And I feel like they have abandoned our kids that really need the special services.
Sally's son has Down syndrome and is autistic. He's got special needs that Sally says just can't happen over a computer.
He needs a speech pathologist. He needs an occupational therapist. And these are specialized trained professionals.
It's the same worry for Anna and her 9-year-old son, Adrian. He's deaf and autistic.
Right now, he's missing speech therapy, occupational therapy.
Both parents say their child's education is regressing. It's a concern attorneys and advocates say they're hearing from parents across the state.
How do you take a parent and say, hey, we're going to train you to do occupational therapy, even though you're not licensed to do it, you don't have that background, and still have that done virtually.
Nicole Shelton is the executive director of Advocacy Associates, Inc. It's an organization that helps students and families with special needs ensure they're getting the services they're entitled to. In California, once a child is found eligible for special education, the family will participate in the process by getting an individualized education program, or an IEP. It's both a process and a written document. Shelton says every year the team has to meet to review progress on goals, create new goals, and see what accommodations the student needs. She says parents are concerned that won't happen.
I think it's important for parents to be requesting IEP meetings right now to have that conversation of, my kid doesn't learn via Zoom, my student's autistic.
There's also concerns about services not being provided and compensating students if they've regressed because they weren't provided appropriate services and supports. In Sally's case, the district told us in part, IEP meetings are being scheduled and will be implemented through distance learning to the greatest extent practical via online resources and other means.
And he needs special services that he's not getting.
Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
A spokesperson for the California Department of Education says that local educational agencies should adhere to the requirements under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. For more information about those requirements and state guidance, head to 10news.com and look for the Rebound section. ABC 10 News is also committed to helping San Diego families navigate the challenges of this virtual learning. So join us tomorrow at 7:30 for a Safely Back to School special. Educators, experts, and everyday parents will reveal the best ways to keep your child engaged, educated, healthy, and thriving.
Moving outside is proving to be painfully costly for many business owners. One owner in Carlsbad told ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala she paid more than $5,000 to move her restaurant into parking spaces.
They said, your option is to pay this or you don't get to go outside.
Move your business outside or shut down. That's the reality many business owners across San Diego County are dealing with. And for some, that move comes with a hefty price tag.
We were told that the fee would be $381. That's doable for us.
It wasn't that simple for Annie Rammel, who owns Oak and Elixir in the Carlsbad Village. The city of Carlsbad is charging businesses $381 to use sidewalks, but Rammel says she needed to expand into public street parking spaces.
We got a phone call from the city saying that we actually needed to pay $5,500.
$1,200 per space plus extra fees. After being shut down for 4 weeks, Rammel got a permit to use 4 parking spots and built a deck after the city council voted to allow the public spaces to be used in late July. But having to pay more than $5,500 up front has been a big problem during an already difficult time.
I begged and pleaded, please, can we get a prorated amount? Can we do month to month?
Rammel paid the fees in full and spent an additional $7,000 to build the temporary deck.
When Governor Newsom tells us we can go back inside, we have to tear it down. We don't get to keep it.
But there may be some hope left. The city of Carlsbad says the city's subcommittee on COVID-19 economic revitalization will meet on August 10th to discuss fees associated with outdoor businesses operating on public property. The city says it is working on options. Whether or not that includes retroactivity for those who've already paid will be evaluated. Rammel hopes she will be reimbursed and the city will make things easier and more affordable for businesses that are already struggling to stay afloat.
I'm in a big hole and I've got to dig myself out of that hole.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
Tough and keeps getting tougher. Rammel says leaders in other North County cities have offered their help, and she hopes the city of Carlsbad will ease up on fees and allow for no-cost or low-cost cafes in outdoor public parking spaces.
Costs on top of costs. Here are the latest numbers. The county announced another 263 cases today. That brings our total to more than 31,000. There were also another 5 deaths. That brings that total to 583. California has stopped updating the counties on the state's COVID watch list. It's because of technical problems in the state's testing database that led to an undercount in cases. It's not clear how many cases have gone uncounted. The problems are interfering with public health officials trying to conduct contact tracing to limit the spread. San Diego has been on that watch list for a month.
Some of the most vulnerable people in our community are the ones who need help and human interaction the most right now. ABC 10 News reporter Leah Pizzetti shows us one San Diego nonprofit making sure our seniors are not forgotten.
In a single plastic bag fits just a handful of items. These items, though, can be a lifeline.
Not used to that. You don't get to go out.
Carol Green calls herself a people person, so in a time of replacing hugs with phone calls, any human interaction is necessary.
I look at elder health as all the sunshine. You might be, just at home on your normal, boring day at times, and whoop, there's the phone call.
On the other line.
Hi, Michael. This is Claudia from Elder Help.
Elder Help has provided services like rides and grocery trips to the senior community for decades, free of charge. Help for a group who needs it now more than ever.
I think volunteering is in my blood. Yeah.
Nicole Darling has been volunteering since 2003. And as people like Carol are told to stay home, more people like Nicole are needed. Their requests for service have skyrocketed 773% since the pandemic began. So now the group has transitioned away from trips with the seniors to now loading groceries at their hub and handing it off to volunteers who then take it to the elderly.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Keeping both their stomachs and their hearts fed.
Bringing food is helpful and important, but I think it's the connection that makes such a difference.
Bags of a handful of items sent out to more than 500 seniors a week, making a world of difference.
It's a small amount of effort to make a huge amount of good for people who are really vulnerable and alone.
With every delivery taking away that feeling of loneliness. Leah Pizzetti, ABC 10 News.
Elder Help just received a $100,000 donation from the San Diego Foundation, but they say they still need volunteers and donations. ABC 10 News wants to help you and your children deal with the pandemic. Tomorrow, we will be joined by Dr. Jennifer Wachowski, a clinical child psychologist at Sharp Mesa Vista. She will discuss ways to keep your children mentally fit. You can join us at 9:30 a.m. for the conversation on the ABC 10 News Facebook page, or send your questions to tips@10news.com.
2 men involved in an attack during a Black Lives Matter protest in Imperial Beach are now facing hate crime charges. This is video of the incident back in June, which happened during a peaceful protest. Prosecutors say that Henry Brooks Jr. was filming and throwing eggs at protesters when Jeffrey Brooks sucker punched a man named Marcus Boyd. The two are now facing a number of charges and 3 to 6 years in prison. And the trial for a man accused of opening fire in the Chabad of Poway synagogue last year has been delayed yet again. John T. Ernest will not go on trial until at least March 15th of next year. The jury trial was supposed to start this last June, but was delayed because of COVID-19. The now 20-year-old is accused of killing Lori Kay and injuring 3 others at the Chabad of Poway.
We have a crime alert. Police need your help finding a man wanted for attempted murder. They've created this composite sketch of the man who stabbed and choked another man at Emerald Hills Park on July 11th. The two had been fighting after this man tried to steal his cell phone. He is black, about 40 years old, 6 feet tall, 170 pounds. His eyes are reportedly yellow with jaundice, we're told. You can call police or Crime Stoppers if you know who he is. San Diego is asserting its own authority to protect our streets without federal intervention. Today's 6-2 vote by the City Council comes in response to the federal police action against protesters in Portland. The resolution doesn't call for any immediate action, but it does call the federal police response unlawful and unconstitutional. Only council members Scott Sherman and Barbara Bree voted against the resolution.
The city's sale of the Mission Valley Stadium site to San Diego State is nearly complete. Today, Mayor Kevin Faulconer tweeted out this signed paperwork of the deal with the quote, signed, sealed, and delivered. San Diego State plans for the university plans to tear down the former home of the Padres and Chargers. A new stadium will form the centerpiece of a new Mission Valley campus that will also include classrooms, housing, retail, and a riverwalk.